are on episode 9 of the desk bookshelf speaker review, and we have the Definitive Technology D9s on the desk. And I've been spending all of this afternoon, it's 1 o'clock to the T right now. I've been spending all morning and the first part of the afternoon listening to these speakers, both near field and from afar. And I really like these speakers, but they don't do anything great. They're a good speaker. They're good at a lot of things, but they're not great at one thing. If you haven't seen the overview video, we talked about that phase plug or wave guide they have in there. It's a passive radiator on the top. Their tweeter is offset. So there's a lot of ingenuity in these speakers, and I've been listening for that. Is some of this stuff just a gimmick, or does it actually work? So I'm going to start by playing just a nice little song for you guys, just to get you guys an idea of what I've been listening to and what these sound like. Let's play this one. Just kidding. Let's play this one. We'll turn it up just a little bit. So like I said, these speakers are sealed. They have a passive radiator, and on the website it says that in-room response you should be getting in the upper 40s as far as your frequency response. 48 hertz is what they say, and I'd say that's about right. They do fall off a cliff almost immediately under 50 hertz. They drop off quick, but usually speakers that don't have a lot of low-end bass kind of try to make it up for a lot of mid-bass. These speakers don't do that. They don't have like a smiley face curve, or since there's no bass, one of these frowny face curves where the mid-range is overemphasized. It doesn't have that. These speakers are on the closer side to flat or neutral than they are warm, and I like that sound out of them. I didn't know what to expect, because this is the first time I ever heard these speakers before. I didn't know what to expect because they are sealed. The front face is made of metal. There's a phase plug in the middle, offset tweeter. I didn't know what kind of sound I was going to get from these, but the sound is very good. I do enjoy listening to these speakers. Like I said, they're not great at anything. They're really good, but they're not great at anything. Meaning, they're not bright. They're not warm. They don't have a lot of bass, but the bass that they do have sounds good. They're pretty flat, but they don't have a lot of depth to them. So they're not great at anything, but they're really good. I think the way that I would describe these speakers to somebody as they're very pleasant. They're very tame. They're very calm speakers. They don't blast you with anything. They don't blast you for a lot of treble. They don't blast you for a lot of bass. They don't blast you for a lot of mid-range. They're a very tame speaker. And they're not a big speaker either. They don't weigh very much. They're not a large speaker. They're relatively deep because of that passive radiator on the top. But they're a good speaker. Let's play another song. So they do have a really good presence. They do get loud. They handle a pretty good bit of power, which I'm surprised. We're using the Soundbase Pro from SVS. If you're not familiar with that, I've done a review on it, demoed it on the Prime Pinnacle speakers from SVS as well. But I'm using the Soundbase. They actually pair very well. The Soundbase is a tricky amplifier to use because there's no tone controls. Whatever the speakers sound like is what they're going to sound like. You can't change it. And that kind of made me a little worried for these speakers because, like I said, I didn't know what I was going to get from them. But from what I do have, they are really good. I do like them. I wouldn't necessarily say they're good enough to be like a front stage speaker. If you're going to use it for 2-channel audio, I think there are better bookshelf speakers, because I think brand new, these things like $800 or something like that, or maybe even more, almost $1,000 bucks. But in between $800 and $1,000, you can pick up some D9s. I don't think that I would do that. I think there are a lot of other speakers that sound very similar, or maybe even a little bit better for the same price or less, or you can spend a little bit more and get a way better speaker. I mean, the KEF Metas, the LS50 Metas are, I don't know, $300, $400 more than these. So, I mean, but they do sound good, but they're in a territory where there's a lot of other things that sound great. and it kind of, these speakers are probably best to round out your home theater system, not to take the forefront of your home theater. They're better in the back half of the room as your surround sound effects or your rear back speakers, something like that. But it's nice that they're a very capable bookshelf, so they'll do a really good job with those ambient effects. So if you have a full Dolby Atmos system, something like that, they'll do really good with handling, you know, thunder and car doors slamming and whatever, right? Because they have passive radiators, they have a lot of power to them. But front stage, if you're going to use them for 2-channel, great. I think it'll work, but shop around for sure, because I do think there are things that are better. But as far as the sound goes, really clean sound in my personal opinion. Everything's really well balanced. Voices are balanced with bass, mid-range, and the treble. Everything just, like, again, feels calm. It feels cohesive. It doesn't overemphasize on anything. It doesn't have a lot of bass, and it doesn't try to pretend that it does. And so I like that. I really like the speakers otherwise. I think there are a lot of things around it that you should audition, because you may find yourself liking something else more for the same money. But if this is matching your system, if these speakers match your DefTech existing system, I think they fit right in with the rest of the lineup, because they are very capable speakers, and I think they know their role too. That's the thing. These speakers know their role. They know that they're not going to be your front two speakers. They're going to be maybe a small desktop system like I'm using in this application, or surround sound speakers. They do sound pretty good. I have nothing bad to say necessarily about these speakers. I just don't have anything to rave about these speakers, and that's okay. I think I'll try to find one more song. These are all randomized. I'll try to find something with some words, hopefully.
We watch the sun go down over the same old town, like so many times before. We look at the same old stars, battle the same old wars, like so many times before. And I know that we're not perfect, but I'm gonna miss all that we had. Yeah, I know that we're not perfect, but I need this night for the last time. Stay.
I'm gonna continue the song in a second, because I think there's probably a beat drop that's going to happen. I want to hear what it does, but I will say this: there is one outlier in these speakers that I actually really favor. I personally like these speakers near field more than I do from afar. So if you're going to be sitting, I don't know, 6 feet or more away from these speakers, I think their best sound, just from in my room, has been sitting right here in the chair in between them. Has been a really good sound, because the wall of sound that they create from a near field perspective is massive. They sound way wider than right here. They sound like they're on each side of the room, big wall of sound. They do sound bigger than they are from here. And I think that's because of that engineering that they put into the speaker. I do think that waveguide makes a difference, because walking around the room, the bass response, the mid-bass response stayed consistent. A lot of the places that I went, a lot of speakers that I put on the desk and walk around the room, you hear a lot of peaks and nulls, whatever. It's natural, happens to every room. But it may be placebo, or it may be the engineering working. When I walked around the room with these speakers, it stayed pretty consistent as far as bass response goes. Now, it doesn't dig really deep, really low, so a lot of that bass isn't directional. It doesn't have as many standing waves in the mid bass as it would maybe in the low bass. But regardless, me moving around the room, the sound stayed pretty neutral all the way around. But the further I got away from it, the smaller the sound stage became. Sitting right here, it's best in my room. It's the best it sounded. Sitting right here, listening to it, huge wall of sound. Vocals are forward right there. It's the most attention that the speaker gives is the voices, which is perfect, and then the instruments have their place. I really like that. Sitting here near field is definitely what I think when I think these are at their best. So I'm gonna finish a little bit of the song to see if that beat drops.
No, you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay if you stay. No, you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay if you
All right, I'm gonna end this video by saying these speakers are really solid. I like these speakers. I think if you have an existing definitive technology system, these will work very well with everything that you're using. If you want to use these for 2-channel listening, I recommend a setup where you're relatively close to them, or even a desktop setup like this, because they do sound really good and they're not a big speaker. If you're going to use these as your main listening speakers in a home theater, look elsewhere. If you're going to listen to these in a bigger room, look elsewhere. But a small room or a near field system, I think these sound really good. But still shop around the market and see what everybody else is offering for the same money, because I do believe there are things out there that are better. There's KEFs that are around the corner as far as price tag goes that could beat these. Triangle speakers, Boria has some really nice speakers that I personally really like that I think will do better than these. So just kind of shop around and see what's out there for the price tag before you just pull your trigger. Unless you have a DefTech system already, then just go for them. It just makes sense. But solid speaker, not great at anything, but really good otherwise. So I'll leave a link in the description to the previous video where we kind of talked about the engineering, the ingenuity went into this, all that good stuff. But with that being said, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think of the definitive technology speakers. Do you think they're over-engineered? Do you think they work well? Let me know what you guys think about them in the comments down below. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Kpaceguy out. Peace.